welcome. My name is Hayden. We're here at Summer Haze, and today we're going to be talking about rosin. So in order to discuss rosin, I brought a bunch of different rosins out to be able to show you guys a couple different types of rosin. Rosin is basically a type of tree sap, and what it does is when you put it on the hair of a bow, as you pull the bow across the string, it makes it so that the bow hairs can actually grip the string, they stick, and it causes the string to vibrate. Without it, the hair just slides along the string. So there are a bunch of different rosins that you can choose from. Just to kind of explain a couple differences, we have a bunch here. One of the most important distinctions between rosins is dark rosin and light rosin. So dark rosin is rosin that's actually taken in the summer from the tree, and light rosin is taken in the winter. The difference is that dark rosin has thicker particles and is stickier. It grips the string a lot better, while light rosin has thinner particles and doesn't have the same stickiness as dark rosin. Because of that, usually dark rosins are used for thicker strings like on a bass or a cello, and violinists will usually use a lighter rosin. However, if you're in a dry climate like Utah, usually some violinists will choose to use a dark rosin so they get a better grip on the strings in the dry climate. Another important distinction is between synthetic and normal sap rosins. So I have here a really common synthetic. It's called jade rosin. Basically what a synthetic is so it's a manufactured rosin. It's not a natural tree sap, but the nice thing about synthetics is that, number one, they're really consistent. So from cake to cake, you're gonna get exactly the same thing. The other thing that's nice about them is they usually last longer. They don't crack as quickly as natural rosins do. Now, the thing about synthetic rosins is they're better than low quality sap rosins, but they're not gonna be quite as good as really high quality sap rosins. And the big difference you're looking at in price and quality when you walk up to a table of rosins and there's a ton of different rosins and a ton of different prices. Basically what you're buying when you buy more expensive rosins is a finer grain rosin that's going to pull more consistently across the string. So you won't have as many inconsistencies and you'll be able to have a smoother bow as you play your stringed instrument. So that's basically an explanation of rosins. Now to rosin your bow, you first need to know whether or not your bow needs it. So a really easy indicator, first off, of if you need to rosin your bow or not, is the color of the hair. So you can see here, in my right hand I have a rosin bow that the hair looks white on. So that rosin is going to create kind of a white looking texture on the bow, and it'll also create a powdery texture. On my left hand I have a non-rosin bow which has a more yellow coloring, and you can see that distinction right there. So if your bow's starting to look yellow, you definitely need to rosin it. There is such a thing as over-rosining, so you have to be careful of that as well. One way to know if you've over-rosined is, first of all, if you're playing your stringed instrument and there's a lot of powder getting on the instrument itself, off the strings and bow, then you're probably a little too rosined. The other thing you can do is just know that if you're practicing about an hour a day, you usually need to rosin about once a week. So that's about the standard amount of rosin that you would need. And it's important to rosin because if you try to play the violin without rosin on it, you're going to notice it doesn't make sound. It's going to, well, it'll make a little shrill, nasty sound, but it won't actually make a full sound like you would expect when you pull your bow across the string. Rosining is really simple. If you have a new piece of rosin, you'll notice it's really smooth. You're going to need to scratch that up in order to allow it to gain friction against the hair and actually rub onto the hair. The way you're going to do that is you can take something like a screwdriver and just rub it across the surface of the rosin to make it a little more rough. We've already done that here, so this rosin is ready to go. And the way you rosin is really easy. Make sure you turn up the tension on your bows, and usually you want your bow about where you can fit it's about the width of a normal sized pinky from the hair to the bow itself. And the way you rosin is you just take your rosin, hold it in your hand, and rub it against the hair on the bow. You can do this in little sections, and it does take a little bit of time, but just make sure that you've consistently coated the hair across the bow, and make sure that it's all kind of a consistent white. And then you can test it by playing and making sure that it just grips appropriately so that you can get a good sound off of your violin. So that's how you rosin. When you're done with your bow, make sure that you release the tension every time you put it in your case. And one fun fact about rosin, there's actually a little bug that loves to eat rosin. And what happens is sometimes they'll get in your case and they'll eat the rosin off of your bow, and they'll actually cause the hairs to pop. So they'll actually eat through some of the hairs across the bow. which ruins your bow. That usually happens when someone has stored their case in a dusty area or for a long period of time, or someone has cracked rosin that's gotten all over in their case. So you can see this piece of rosin right here, that's old. It definitely needs to be replaced. If you have cracks in your rosin or your rosin starts to shatter, it's time to buy new rosin. And one of the things that may happen is as you have those cracks and shatters go into your case, you're going to be inviting those bugs to come in. So one way to avoid that is don't do any of those things. If you do find that you have that problem, make sure you clean out your case, especially of any rosin dust. Let it air out, let it sit in the sunlight for a minute, and you should be good to go. So that's a little bit about rosin. Thank you for joining us at Summer Haze. If you have any additional questions, feel free to comment below or join us on our website, smcorm.com. We have an article all about rosin. Have a wonderful week.